The major crisis that has been on the front burner of Nigerian politics today is the clash between Nigerian security forces and the Shiite, the Islamic Movement of Nigeria. There has been accusations and counter-accusations from both sides of the divide on who's to be blamed for these violent clashes that have resulted in bloodshed and in deaths. The question we'd like to get your insight, sir, is who should be blamed for this violence?
Well, I think we need to place the Shiite state relationship within a global context, because there are issues that are connected with the crisis that are beyond this country. Globally speaking, there is a threat to global security, and this threat to global security is coming from different angles. Don't forget the Islamic State of Africa. You have the Boko Haram. You have all kinds of groups in the northeast of Africa, and also the breakup of Iraq, the crisis in Tunisia. We started with the Arab Spring, and also all around the world, South America, even North America itself, fighting the immigrants' push along the coast of Mexico. So you have a situation where there is already proliferation of arms all over Africa. The Liberian crisis was there, though you can say, so that's many years back. The Nigerian Civil War also was there. All these are culminating in the, because you cannot rubbish, you cannot forget or consign your past to the dustbin and think that you can be independent or have a separate and autonomy of what had happened before. So we must understand the forces that are at work. Of course, you have the Nigerian state on the one hand, you also have the Shiite, and you have the security agencies, which are expressions of the state. Of course, it is the primary responsibility of any government. And that is why in the preamble to the Fundamental Objective, Chapter 2 of our Constitution, it is clearly stated that under fundamental objectives and directive principle of state policy, that the primary purpose of any government, of the Nigerian government, will be to pursue the welfare and security of the citizens. So anything that rubbishes these two elements, both welfare and security, will subject the state to serious questioning and critique. But I must also say that we look at the Shiite crisis is a manifestation of a bigger problem, which could not be said to be a creation of the present government. It's been there. The Mitre crisis was there before, and all kind of ethnic militias all over the country. In fact, you have Nigeria will be one of the most militarized states in terms of ethnic militia in the world. So government is trying under very difficult circumstances to combat, to checkmate all these attempts to have the state balkanized, to attack the state. So it's responding to all this simultaneously would not but create a challenge for any government. So that's for the role of the police. See, the police in a normal setting, it's supposed to be an agent, not of the government of the day, it's an agent of the citizens of the country. It's a public sphere. It is meant to display neutrality in cases of this nature. I also appreciate the fact that a court had released the leader of the Shiite movement in this country. And that order is yet to be complied with, because there were said to be other issues that had to, I would have suggested that why can't the state comply with that initial order? If there is any reason to bring him back again, then you can always search for. The state is very strong, is very powerful, and can reach out. So now the matter has become internationalized. I understand there have been protests in some of the in Britain, in Canada, in some of the countries in Asia. I think we can do without it because the state already is under stress in terms of dealing with the Boko Haram insurgents, and we don't want to be seen to be foiling some of this again. I think government may have a good reason for not releasing the leader, the El-Zakzaky, but at the same time, I think it will augur well for stability and for peace in this country. We cannot be tackling several issues that have to do with security simultaneously. Because the way I look at it is that as security personnel, we must give kudos to them. Fighting incessant Boko Haram in the northeast, fighting herdsmen where there are abductions, kidnapping. These are just too much for any state to contend with.
That takes me to my next question, sir. With the protracted security and the insurgency challenges in the country, could we say that the Nigerian government will be able to confront it headlong?
Well, I think that question probably would be unnecessary, because if you knew where we were before the coming of President Buhari in 2015, it was like, even in Abuja, there have been bombings in Abuja. I was in Abuja at that time and I knew what it was. All of a sudden you'll be told not where you can go, where you cannot go. But I think we had passed that stage in a way. The sectarian violence that we are witnessing is not anything that is unusual in the country of ours. Nigeria is very, very volatile in terms of, you see, you have the politics of the religion. You have the politics of the crisis. You have so many things to contend with. Of course, Nigerians are of high expectation. We had high expectations when it was President Buhari who got elected in 2015. We had hoped that all matters relating to security of the country will be a thing of the past. Of course, there are still vestiges and they are worrisome. People are troubled, people are disturbed with kidnapping. People can't go to the farm, they can't do anything. But I want to believe that the government of the day realizes the danger that all this threat poses to the country. And I want to believe that in a matter of days or a week or two, I want to believe that the El-Zakzaky leader is going to be released, precisely because it's not keeping him in detention. Keeping him out of circulation is mystifying him, and it's making it like it's really very, very unimportant. Of course, he has his constituency, people that he contributes. I think it's not a generalized, it's not, his appeal is not to the entire country. And I think because you have to again scale your priorities. You weigh the Shiite movement issue, the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, and weigh the other security challenges that you have. If you ask me, I think I will settle for those higher order priorities, security priorities of securing the country from Boko Haram, especially making sure that they do not confine them to where they are. And I think to a large extent, we must give kudos to our military men and women. They've done a good job, and I think they're still making sacrifices. Because each time I read about the death of anyone, look at the policeman who was killed in Abuja. There was no cause for it. You know, the man was not harmed. He was not holding anything. But I don't think violence should not beget violence. We should have means of reaching the state, of reaching. So, because at the end of the day, who are the losers? The state is a loser. Citizens are loser. People can't go about, and the fear, the sense of trepidation, the fact that you can't go to your freedom is caged. It's not good for this country.
So, from a sociological perspective, sir, is there any justification towards the Shiite reaction, considering the fact that the Shiites are considered to be law unto themselves, sir?
Yeah, I think you recall there was an attack on a former, chief of
the
in Kaduna or somewhere. He was traveling, and I think that's the height of impunity. And nobody can hide under the guise of religion to obstruct, because once you attack the military as an institution, that's the state, that's the symbol of the state. No justification at all, and they cannot. I think we in a way, the challenge might not have been responded to in ways that you and I will agree to, but I think at the same time, we must give kudos to the present administration, precisely because the president himself is a Muslim. He didn't allow himself to be clouded by that religious sentiment to say, let them be free, let them do whatever they want to do. If we were to have a Christian president, it would have been very, very difficult to tackle the Shiite crisis, because people would then read all kinds of motives into it. So I think the process of nation building is challenging, because one, I'm not sure most part of quite a large number of ethnic groups in this country, they are yet to subscribe to have a bigger buy-in into whether we already have a nation or we are still struggling to have a nation. So where you have this kind of challenge on citizenship, it's really very difficult to navigate the turbulence of security. So I think we really still need, the Nigerian project is an ongoing thing. It's never a finished project, just like any countries in the world. And with the way wanting to go my own way, go your own way, seem not to be the solution. Because you have seen countries who have gone through that way. They ended up in chaos. Look at Sudan of recent. South Sudan, God said it wanted its autonomy from the central Sudan. It got it, but again, there are challenges of nationhood. So I think we have heard of so many people calling for confirm. I think the time is now for action. We've had several summits, several security days, I think with the way the federal government is responding to this challenge, especially with regards to community policing and with regards to probably state policing, but I think we should go the whole hog. What do I mean? We should go take a bill to the National Assembly, let it so that the country can be peaceful, so that you now can localize. If there is a state government, because you call the state governors chief security, where they don't have control over the police, they have no control over anything. They control no arms, they control no ammunitions. How can they be chief security officer? I don't think any rational, any reasonable Nigerian will be asking for balkanization of Nigeria. We are going to be worse off. That is not what we need. What we need now is to have an effective institution of the state, like the police. If the judiciary says do this, you must do it. You have no, even if the judiciary is strong, but there must be compliance. Because without the rule of law, a nation, a community is going to be bankrupt in all respects. Politically, it's going to be bankrupt. Economically, it's good. Socially, it's going to be bankrupt. Even in your home, you must have a means of enforcing the will of the head of the household. Whether it's a joint headship with your wife or with you wear a household where you allow the children to do whatever they want to do, is going to be chaotic, and there can be no form of communication. There can be no conversation at all. I think we have conversed for too long. There have been several conversations. The report of the Confab of 2014 is there. The Constitutional Conference, all these things are there. Why can't we just begin? Let's have and I think in the second term of the president, I want to believe that there's no doubt every Nigerian is overwhelmed to appoint minister. He himself confessed that I'm under pressure. That is to be expected, because kind of conflicting pressures on him. Oh, this is our people, this is not our friend, don't put him there. He represents this interest. So, but at the end of the day, what is uppermost is that we must build further consensus on what is good for Nigeria, because I think that should be the important thing. The interest of the ordinary, the peasant in the farm, they want to go to their farm without any fear that they will be abducted, without any fear of kidnapping. So we must restore hope to this country, and it cannot be the country, the president alone, or the state alone. You and I will have a role to play. There must be synergy in reconstructing and rebuilding the tenets of governance.
Before I ask my final question, let me just quickly take you back a little to the reaction of the security forces. And I would like to get your professional perspective on this. According to the international legal framework applicable to the police and other law enforcement officials, which is part of international human rights law, as a matter of fact, it holds that the intentional lethal use of firearms may only be made when strictly unavoidable in order to protect life. Prof, what is your insight on this as regards the reaction of the police or security forces?
Well, I think there are some challenges with that. You are talking of a normal situation. Look, a deputy commissioner of police was gunned down. He was not harmed. Of course, you can say maybe it's not the Shiite. We never knew until we must probe. We must get to the bottom of this to know. But under no circumstance when you see the training of the Nigerian police, they are easily provoked, even under circumstances where they should be civil, they are not civil. It is not because they do look ordinary 50, 100 naira, give me 100, I don't have that country, and Okada man, his life could be lost. So I think we need to emphasize more training in civil relationship, that they should not have seen, in Britain, in America, you've seen how the police respond to situations of this nature. They can use rubber bullets. Their intention will not be to take a life because they know the consequences, except when their own life is at risk. And I think for the Shiite, if it is the Shiite that are killed, taking no snuff life out of that DCP, is very unfortunate. I think a group should not see itself as having monopoly of the use of force, or should be tolerated, because you are crossing the threshold of tolerance. Once you apply force, that should be, except you are licensed to do that, to hold a gun, it should not be permitted. And we have seen the invasion of the National Assembly. No matter the level of provocation, I think different groups in the country are bitter, they may be annoyed, but they should not take laws into their hand. Because once you take laws into your hand, mayhem is going to result. Finally. And again, I think Nigerians should trust the police more. I think there is a misperception. I'm not sure we're trusting. Nigerians are not trusting of the police because of their past experiences. But I think if we must try to give them the benefit of the doubt that they can do better. We've seen them in international operations. They will do so well. Why is it that they will turn the gun against their own people when they come on? So I think it requires perception. You and I will need to change our perception of the police. If you have to do an interview as to in international Transparency International, the police, the National Assembly and the judiciary have been fingered out as the most corrupt institutions all over the world. But I think we can change that perception if the police is willing to change. But you and I also need re-education in order to accommodate some of their excesses and for them to be able, because if you have lost confidence in them, they say whether we do it right or not, they are not going to be motivated, they are not going to be praised. It's difficult to satisfy them, so they will just go out and do their worst.
Finally, Prof, what concrete measures should be put in place in order to stem the rising incidence of attacks and insecurity that has been occasioned by the violent protests of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria? What concrete measures?
First of all, I would like to say that everything boils down to access to significant means of existential challenges. It may not explain everything. If you and I, if we are employed, we are engaged, we are educated, if you are not treated as animals, but you have a situation where people are brought to this life, and nobody cares as to what they will eat, what they will become. There's very little investment in their socialization. So what will they grow up to be? If you and I were to be thrown out of this window in the bush there when we were born, we behave like animals. We will not respect any value, we will not have no religion, we will not even have any language at all. It is because we belong to some homes. You and I, we came from homes, we were trained by our parents. What other thing? They instill on us values that we regard as very important. But if we are made barren, we are made bare, we are allowed just to do what we like, there's no way we can have those values. So I would say the poverty question in this country and the social structure in this country. Look, yesterday was the birthday of Alhaji Kayode Jakande. When Alhaji Jakande was the Lagos State governor, he told his commissioners, "You want to serve under me? Yes, I want to serve under you, sir. Are you ready to withdraw your children from private schools for your children to attend the same school as the children of the poor people, so that we all can, the same thing applies to health care, so that all of us can galvanize our resources and make sure that what we are providing in social service being provided for the ordinary people is what are being provided for us at the same time." Jakande himself presented himself, he led by examples. He withdrew his children from schools. The shift system in school that you had, about 3 shifts in Lagos State, he converted just to 1. Because his challenge was out, and he never traveled out of the country. So we must not be providing for people what in the sphere of education, in the sphere of faith. We must not second-rate services. What we know our children will not be exposed to, or what we as leaders will not be, so that leadership by precept is very, very important. I think we need to do more so that we can tackle the challenge of poverty in this country. And also, I think there's a gap, a wide gap between people who are not working, between state officials, state elected officials, people working for bureaucracy of the state, and ordinary people you and I have there, who are not connected to any government business at all. The structure of pay is demotivating. It's very demotivating. I think that something should be done, and I think the president has the moral strength. The only thing that brought Buhari to power was his ethics. That was the thing. Of course, people supported him with resources, but that was not the important thing. And what sustained Jakande up to today, and some of the leaders we have in this country today, is their strong ethic. They are advocates of strong ethic. People like Adebisi Akande, the former governor of Osun State. You cannot count many of these people in this country. There's an holocaust in terms of leadership. And unless we reinvent that, we'll be spending look at the parties. The parties are in charters, because they won't allow internal party democracy. They will drive political process through money. And how much money are you going to spend? Because you can have legal authority, you may not have legitimacy. And legitimacy, Buhari for once was able to combine both legitimacy and legal authority. There's no deficit, there's no discrepancy between the, but in some of the states we have in this country, there's a gap in terms of legal authority and legitimacy. And legitimacy is more important. Buhari, since 2003 or so, when he had been contesting, legitimacy had been conferred on him by majority of the people. Not just in the north across, because he had some of his friends, some political allies also in the south. That's what we need more. Jakande had more of legitimacy, more of ethical authority. The same thing applies to us. These are the kind of things that we need in this country. It's not the amount building houses, building all this kind of thing, amassing dollars, worshipping money. What do you do with it at the end of the day? Look at the people of the world, some of the richest people in the world. They are giving back to society. So you have to say at the end of the day, by the time you are 80, you are 70, how much resources do you need to sustain yourself? But we've made a profession of keeping cars, keeping all kinds of things that we should not be, because you have a country where you can't even ride in your cars, where you are afraid to move in the night, you are afraid to move in the day, because you are shielding yourself from your people. You have to protect yourself, all kind of barricades in your own house. It's like you are a prisoner. What kind of life is that? So we need to rebuild, we need to reconstruct this country in favor of the ordinary people. That's the only way to go about it.
Thank you very, very much, Prof. We really appreciate your insightful analysis.